Well, hello everyone, it's Jem here, and I hope you are having an amazing day. For those that don't know me, my name is Jemmuel, and I'm a session touring musician, a music producer, and a music director from Sydney, Australia. And if you haven't been following me for a while, I've been doing a series called How to Play Guitar Creatively at Church. And I've done 2 episodes so far. They're 4 years apart. So I wanted to make sure that this 3rd episode wasn't another 4 years apart from the 2nd episode. And on today's topic, this is a topic that I've been asked about on what my approach is to triads and open chords and how to play triads effectively, creatively, and how I can insert them into my playing at church. The way that I've learned how to use triads is just by watching some of my heroes in playing pop, country, and praise and worship, guys like Nigel, Michael Guy Chislett, Stu G, country players like Keith Urban, Brad Paisley, a lot of those pop players who do a lot of funk, and like contemporary pop stuff. Triads are so popular there. Like even Johnny Buckland from Coldplay, his stuff where he goes, his triad work and all his pop stuff was really, really amazing. And so I was inspired by a lot of that. The way that he does chord embellishments, even The Edge from U2. Oh my gosh, just the way that a lot of these guys use triads, I kind of just listen and watch and learn on what they use and implement them into my playing. And then when it comes to open chords, what are open chords and how to use them and why are they so effective in the style of music that we play in church, I'm going to show you just a bit of my approach to that. I apologize for this episode where I'm only using one camera to show you guys what I'm doing. My other camera isn't working properly at the moment, so just bear with me. So let's start off with triads and how I use triads and how you can start off with triads in your playing and how triads can be used not only for rhythm playing, but you can use triads for creating your own parts and also playing rhythm and lead at the same time if you're the only guitar player, just like how I did in part 1 where I used triads as the only guitar player. So what is a triad? Well, if you remember from my previous lesson on the previous episode, how I talked about how to play solos in church, I touch up about the scale and especially the major scale in music. And if you don't know what the major scale is, it is 7 notes that cycle in a pattern to give us the sound that is the major scale, That is the major scale right there. Turn the reverb off, some delay off. And if I go the octave up. And if I did the minor scale, it's the same thing, just with a flat third. That was my A major scale and my A minor scale. And what we're doing that is we're taking notes 1, 3, and 5 to create a chord, or in this case, a triad, which is those 3 notes working together in harmony. The way that triads work in the style that we play in church is that we play triads and we use things called inversion, where we pretty much just invert those 3 notes in a different way to create the same chord but just in a different voicing. So with an inversion, it's just giving a different voice, and instead of starting your triad, for example, with note 1, 3, and 5, what if I started my first note with note number 3, and then note number 5, and note number 1 as my last note? So instead of it being 1, 3, 5, it'll be 3, 5, 1. It's still C, but in a different voice. And if I did that in an upper octave, that's where it really shines. And what if I flip it again? Instead of it being 3, 5, 1, what if I did 5, 1, 3? So my second inversion is going to be note number 5 of the C major scale, which in this case is G. And then note number 1 is C on the G string. And then note number 3 in the scale is my B string, which is E, and I play them all together in a line, there is my second inversion, my second voice. So I can go my triad, first inversion, 3-5-1, second inversion, 5-1-3. That's all C. Now if I did them in upper octaves, here's my C. Here's my first inversion. Here's my second inversion. So that's my basics of explaining what a triad is, what an inversion is, and how they create different voice. And that can be with any chord. Let's take G, for example, G chord. Let's find where my next G inversion is. Right there. And then the next one over here. So my main G chord is here, 1-3-5. My next inversion is going to be my first inversion, which is 3-5-1. And then second inversion, 5-1-3. So why is this so important? And I'm going to break it down to you on how I use these, because you don't need too much theory to know what it is that I'm doing. What I'm trying to show you is the shapes that I use, and I'm going to explain how I use them in different contexts. So let's take the second inversion, the line of 5-1-3. I feel like this is the most powerful inversion. And we're just going to starting with the D string first, because I will get to using the bottom strings last. This one is so powerful because I have my other 3 fingers available, and now what I can do if I play this inversion of the second inversion, I can now add melodic lines with my middle finger, my ring finger, and my pinky. So if I keep doing this, and then I add my middle finger here, and if I did that while barring those 2 strings, and then also if I use my bottom strings, my A string and my E string, I can make cool bass lines. Here you go, bass lines. Ring finger, barring with my first finger, just A string and then the 3 triads. There you go, triads right there. And then that could be a good exercise for you. Muck around with different bass lines on the second inversion triad, starting with the D string. And if you add some delay, you instantly turn to Nigel Hendroff and Michael Geicher's it. And if I move it to the upper octave, see, that's an easy way to use a triad right there. And now even with rhythm playing and strumming, keep using that second inversion triad with a bar. So that's my major triad in the second inversion, because I can also transition to my minor triad here. That's A minor right there. So from a major triad that's inverted in the second position, the second inversion, 5-1-3, immediately, if I add this pattern over here, from that position, it immediately becomes a minor triad. If I played Hosanna, for example, that is just a masterclass in using a major triad and a minor triad. It starts with a minor triad in C sharp minor, right? There it is. They're just playing a C sharp minor chord. And then what's next? F sharp minor. Right there. And then next up is A major. But that's all derived from that second inversion. In that key of Hosanna. An easy hack to find where your second position inversion is if you play a bar chord, an open bar chord, for example, the key of E, it will be right under where your ring finger and pinky is. So the way I like to use that is I like to use that triad to free up my other fingers to create melodic lines, to create rhythmic lines, to create rhythm and lead lines at the same time, you know. If in this case we're in the key of C. One triad, isn't that amazing? Even with Bethel's song Freedom, it's just so the next one I will talk about is the first position triad, the first inversion, the first voice of the triad. In this case, in the C. What do I like to use that one for? Well, similar. I like to use that for also creating rhythm and lead lines, using the D, G, and B strings. And then I like to throw my pinky in next to it. But with that one, I have way more limited range compared to my second position inversion, second voice inversion. But this is more for like if I want to play bigger chords. Because what that does is it leads next to a second inversion to another chord. In this case it's G. So those are my main triads in that on the starting on the D string. Now starting on the G string, this is where a very powerful triads come from for creating very melodic lead lines, especially if you're the lead guitar player or EG1 or whatever they call it these days. I like using the G, B, and E strings to create really nice melodic triads. So similar to the second position inversion, I will now move it down for the next three strings and use my middle finger the B string and then bar it with my index finger. And then use my pinky for other strings like the D string, ring finger, starting with the C second inversion. And then the other, now with the major scale triad, you can just use a C-shaped position. It's kind of like cage, but I don't really use the cage system, where I'll use my middle ring and my pinky to do this diagonal shape here for my minor triads. And then the other position for my G string triads is my ring finger on the G string, pinky on the B string, and then my index finger on the E string to create my C triad there on the G string. And what's cool about that is if I let go of the pinky and just keep barring it with my index finger, add some chorus in there, you know, it's instant 80s. Stuff like that. So things to note is keep those 3 inversions in mind, and think about the way that you can attack those strings when you're using those inversion shapes and voicings, because when you bring this here, you can bring it here. So powerful, but really, really simple. And especially when you got your effects laid onto it, you know, it's just so easy to be creative with it. It's literally just the major scale being used creatively. Or the minor scale as well. You can literally create solos just using triads, you know? Just using the exact same strings, exact same pattern, exact same inversion shape. Just maneuvering my fingers to the notes of the major scale in that triad. See 7 notes there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. See, there's just 5 notes in there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Isn't that cool? So that's pretty much like my basic intro to using triads. And if you want to exercise your triads, I would say play the major scale in triad form. So you know how in the number system we have chords 1 to 7, chords 1, 4, and 5 are major, chords 2, 3, 6 are minor, and chord number 7 is diminished. Think of your triads in that way. Triads 1, 4, and 5 are major triads. 2, 3, and 6 are minor triads, and number 7 is a diminished triad. So here is C major triads in the form of the C major scale. See? You can be musical with it too, and that can happen as well with D. D is already triad here. Super cool. So now let me talk about my concepts when it comes to like open chords. To me, open chords are just chords with open strings. So instead of playing closed chords where you don't have any open strings, which sound great on their own, but I guess in the context of a big band setting, those chords kind of get muddied up in the frequency spectrum, but also in the musical spectrum. They don't suit what we're doing in the musical context when it comes to playing in modern church. If you're playing in a Green Day cover band, that sounds good. But if I wanted to play those same chords, what if I tried using open G? Well, not an open G tuning, but G with open string. With an open string tune. See, I'm not even using all 6 strings, I'm just using... Also, the less strings that you use, the more space there is in the frequency spectrum, and the more that your guitar actually cuts through rhythmically when using less strings. And actually, the less that you strum, like... if you're strumming your electric guitar like an acoustic, it's actually not gonna fill the space nicely. What I like to do is I like to do like big strums, especially when using effects, like... and the drums are boom, boom, cut, cut, and the bass is filling in that space. The bass is already playing like 8 notes. So what you can do rhythmically as a guitarist, sounds huge, fills in the space. And then triads. Chords like that, which are almost like power chords, but instead of closing them in thirds and fifths, try 1, 3, and you open B string here. It's technically an inversion. You're playing a 1, 5, and then a 3, but your B string is a third. That B string just helps cut through mix even more. See, the less strings, the more bigger and open it sounds, even without some delay. If I did that with all 5 strings, it's too much. Whereas, 3 strings. It's not technically an open chord, but it's a chord that sounds more open than closed. So just to know, the more strings that you use, the more muddy it gets. The less strings that you use, the more clearer your guitar gets. Isn't that wild? verses. Sounds great in a 3-piece, 4-piece band, but like an 8-piece band. That cuts way more. So that's my approach when it comes to open chords and the things I'm thinking about. It's not technically, I'm not saying what chord that is specifically. I encourage you to go and discover open chords for yourself, because you can go from G's here. Instead of, if I use those open chords here, with less strings, the more the guitar is going to be heard in the mix by using less strings in a combination of strings. You know? And with delay and reverb, you know. I'm not going. There are times when that works more appropriately, but in the context when the band is going really big and when the bass is huge, it's easier just to go. It's easier just to go. Creating space. And one thing to note is creating space is so crucial to making your playing sound more musical. Not just filling space, but helping create space. It creates room for the music to breathe, and it creates room for your guitar to breathe and be more musical in a way where it engages the listener in a more musical way. And it should encourage you as a player to be more intentional with how you play. You're not just there to fill musical notes and just strum away, but really be intentional of, can this serve the song even better? Can what I'm playing enhance the music and give it some breathing room to create space for other notes? Just the thing to think about. So, yeah. I'm going to play an example of a song where I'm not going to use the 100% correct parts of the song, but I'm going to use triads and open chords to show you how those concepts that I'm showing here can help create a great amount of space and depth to your playing just by using triads, open chords, and creating space. And when it comes to playing chords, knowing that less is more helps your guitar stick out in the mix even more. So, thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope that this blessed you and encouraged you and inspired you. And if you want me to continue making videos like this, feel free to subscribe, shoot me an email, and or message me on my social media. You can find all that on my website at www.jemmuel.com. I am so grateful that I got to make an episode 3 of playing guitar creatively at church while I'm on a break on tour with Sidewalk Prophets. If you want to see me play live with Sidewalk Prophets, be sure to check out the website on www.sidewalkprophets.com and see if we're coming to a city near you. I'd love to say hi to you. And yeah, this has been an absolute joy, and I hope this enhances and encourages you and inspires you to continue to give your best, your excellence, not just in a perfection sense, because there's no such thing as perfection, but giving your excellence knowing that you are giving your best to God with what you have in your hands today. And I just want to encourage you that, God's not seeking perfection. None of this is what you see on the internet. Don't be discouraged by what you see with other players. You are on your own journey. God has given you your skill set, your giftings, and for you to continue to grow more into not only just a great guitar player or just be able to play well at your church, but into a son and daughter of Jesus. God is calling you because he loves you and not because you have an instrument. So be encouraged in that, and be encouraged to know that God is pleased with your offering of your sacrifice and your heart towards him. Let that be your encouragement for today, and not just you're trying to be the best guitar player you can be. So be blessed, have an amazing day, and hope to see you around soon. Peace out.